Hello guys, what we are going to be working on today is we're going to be working on adding a navigation, right, to this particular blog app, right. I know we already have a navigation here and everything, but then we want a side navigation, right. So there is a button here. On click on that button, we get this particular navigation, right. That's what we're going to try and do today. When you click here again, it goes up. So basically it toggles the navigation on and off, right. So if I am to zoom, this is how the navigation looks like, right. So we can see that there's an icon and there is a text, there's an icon and there's a text, right. And we also have a search bar here with a search icon also here, right. So that's what we're going to try and do today. So also, as we can see, no matter where you are, if you click, it pops up, right. No matter where you've scrolled up to, it's still the same position throughout the entire page, right. So we're going to try and make this in this particular video. So okay, so let's move back to our this is what we have so far, right. So let me show you what we've been working on. So this is what we've been working on so far, right. Okay, so now we see that there is a button here, there is a box here. When I click it, nothing actually happens, right. Okay, so now we're going to try to make the pop-up appear when I click that button. So I'll go back to our Visual Studio Code, right. So right under the body tag, right, just under the body tag, I'm going to create something. I'm going to call it side navigation. We have created a div. The name of the div is side navigation, right. I'm not going to touch it here. I'm just going to go straight to the CSS and start this side navigation. There we have it, our side navigation. I'm going to give it a height of let's say 600 pixels for a starter, a width of 600 pixels, and I'm going to give it a background. But the background I'm going to give it is not a color. I'm going to give it an image as a background, right. And as you can see here, I've added one image, triangle.png, right. I'll provide a link in the description in case you want to use that image too. So I said triangle.png, right. So that's the URL I'm giving it, right. I'm giving it a position of fixed, right. So when you give something a position of fixed, it's going to stay at the same place no matter where the person scrolls, right. So it's not going to move, it's going to be fixed, right. Once you fix it, you need to position it at a particular place. So I'm saying that from the right side of the screen, be 0. The distance should be 0, so it should be attached to the right side of the screen, right. And bottom to is 0, so it should be also be attached to the bottom of the screen, right. So that's what I'm saying, and I'm giving it a z index of let's say 1000 blah blah blah, right. So the z index is basically saying the order of appearance. Maybe sometimes an element can come over another element, right. So there's an element under another element. Maybe if you want the element under a particular element to show on top of that particular element, then you give it a higher z index, right. And yeah, since I'm still in a different folder, I'll have to go back first. Then let's see how it looks like. Okay, so it's still not showing anywhere, right. Okay, so now what we have to do is we give it a background size, right, of cover. So that means cover the entire background, and background position center, right. So it should be in the center. So now if we go ahead and check it out, we can see that it is here, right. I don't know if you see it, but it is right here. But then we want it to be a little bigger, right. We want it to be a little bigger. So I'll just go back and increase these sizes. So I'll mix around with this. So I've given each the height and the width 1000 pixels each, right. So now let's see how it looks like. Okay, now I think it looks great, right. We have our triangle. So if we scroll, we can see that it's not being affected, right. It is still where it is, right. Okay, cool. So now let's do some toggling here, or let's add all the elements first, right. So now let me go back to our HTML, and within the side navigation, or we can even bring it out. So we can actually bring it out. So we can do something like a side navigation menu, right. So that's going to contain the menu items. So this is going to be the side navigation menu. So we call this particular element the side navigation, the black image, right. That's the side navigation. But then we have something here, right. So we are going to call this the side navigation menu, right. So this is going to be the content of the side navigation menu. Okay, great. So now the side navigation menu is going to have what I would like to call menu items, right. So it's going to have menu item, right. And the menu item is going to have an H4, right. It's going to say let's say one will say post. Okay, so each menu item is going to have two things. It's going to have menu icon. So I'm going to make it M icon, right. And it's going to have M name. That's the menu name, right. So that's what each menu item is going to have. As we can see here, each menu item, right, has an icon. This is the icon and this is the name, right? So that's what we're going to do. So if we go back, that's what. So let's see. So we have a menu item, we have menu icon, and we have a menu name, right? So the menu name is going to have an h4, right? H4 is a header 4, right? HTML header. So I'm going to be like post. I'm going to copy this a couple of times. So let's see. I'm going to copy this and paste. So right now I have 4 menu items, right? So I'm going to change the names to streak, share here, and the last one is logout. Right, let's see how it looks like. So if we check this is how it looks like, which is very, very bad, right? We want it to be here, right? So then if you can guess, one thing we can do is we can set position to fixed, right? And we position it just where it was, or I mean where the other one was, the menu item was, right? So I'll just go back and style my menu side navigation menu. So back in the CSS, I can just do so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set okay, so now this is what we have, right? And if I go back to my HTML, we can see the M icon, right? So let's start the M icon. So I'm going to start the M icon. I'm going to give it a height of 100%. Since in a grid, it is in a grid, it will take the grid height, or better still, I can just give it a height of 100%, a width of now let me give it, I want it to be a square, so I'll give it a height of let's say 40 pixels and a width of 40 pixels, and let me give it a border 1 pixel solid. Let me try white. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so now here it's messy. It's messy because if we check the HTML, we have M icon and we have menu item and we have menu name. So for menu item, I have to set display to grade, right? And set grade template column to probably 2 fraction and 4 fraction, or however I would choose to do it, or something of that sort. Or I can just set display to flex and it will be good to go. So here the menu item, right, I'm going to set display to flex, right, and let me make this solid. Okay, now you can see that we have our icon box next to our how do we call it? Yeah, I think you get me, the icon name or the navigation name, right? So I'm going to give this a margin, right, so it gets away from distance. So I'm going to give it probably 20 pixels. Okay, now I like the distance and everything, right? So now everything is cool here. Everything is cool here. As I'm going to say again, I'm going to add all the icons when I'm done, right? So yeah, red. Okay, so I'll take away this border now. Okay, great. Let me just add a hover effect. So when you hover on a menu item, the menu item hover, background should be red and color should be black, right? Okay, but I don't like it this way, right? Let me do one thing. We can see that there is a space, and I want it to be in the center, right? So what I'll do is I'll just go back here and set justify content, or is it align items? Let me align items to center, right? And we can see that if you hover, it is in the center just as we want it, right? That is great. Okay, so now we're almost done with this part. What else? It's left with the search, right? Okay, it's left with the search. So we just go back to our HTML and we create a last. We are creating all these. Let me close this, right? Just under the opening body tag. So dot search. That's the last element we are going to create, and we're going to give it an input, right? And the input is going to be of type text, right? And placeholder is going to be search, right? And last and I'm not going to give it any value again. So let me close this and let's see how it looks like. So now we can see this is where it is, right? It has come here. We don't want it there, right? We don't want anything here. So then, as you can guess, first thing you do is you give it a position of fixed, right? So dot search. I'm going to give it a position of fixed, right? So now we see it is not relative to any element, right? It is where it is, right? I'm going to give it a bottom of about 30 pixels and a right of about 20 pixels. So now let's see, where is it? It's supposed to be here, but I think it's under it, right? And as we talked about the z index, I'm going to give it a z index of 200, right? So it has the same z index as the others. Now I think I like the position. I will have to increase the width, right? So what I'll do is dot search input, right? And I will increase the width to about 400 pixels. Okay, now I like the width. What else? So I think let me just reduce it a little bit. 350. Okay, great. So now what I'm going to do is the background, right? I'm going to set the background to transparent. So you can just do background transparent, and the background will be transparent, right? And I don't like this border. I don't really like this border. So I'm just going to give it my own border. 1 pixel solid red. So now this is the border, right? But the border is too thin, right? Let me increase the width. So I'm going to the height. So I'm going to give it a height of, let's say, 50 pixels, something like that. Now it looks cool. Now I want the edges to be round, right? I don't want these square boxes. I want it to be a round box. So now I'm going to give it a border radius of about let's try 30 pixels. So now, okay, 30 pixels looks very cool. So now we can just now we can just do color here, so that we see the color we type, color red, right? This color has been displayed in me, Rebecca purple. Okay, so now we still can't see what we're typing. Color is red. What could be wrong? Okay, now we see what we're typing, right? But then we see that when you actually click on it, there is this thing that comes to cover it, this outline. I don't like it, right? So I'll just do outline none, right? So now when you actually click on it, nothing happens. And you can see that this text is too close to the edge. I don't want it that way. Let me just push it here a little bit. So I'll just give this a padding left of 20 pixels. Okay, now you see that it is fully where we want it to be, right? So this is our search. When there is nothing, there is a search here, and we've covered almost everything, right? Okay, we've covered almost everything. We're almost done. Now let's make this like on click. We don't want it to be there all the time. We want it to be there only if this thing is clicked, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to set every element we've created. We're going to add .active to it, right? So we're just going to do the normal state and the active state, right? So now let's write a little bit of JavaScript, right? A very simple JavaScript. So you go to our JavaScript, and in the JavaScript you have script.js, right? So we're going to open that script.js and create a function, right? So function is going to be called toggle items, right? And it's going to take just one parameter, that is what is this function? So it's going to take a parameter which is the item name. So we're going to toggle a couple of items. So the parameter it's going to take is the item name, right? Okay, now that's the function. So what we are saying is we're going to create a variable. The variable, we're going to call it element, right? We're going to set it to document dot query selector, right? We're going to use query selector. We're going to select the item name. Any item we pass it, you're going to select that particular item name, right? So we're going to just do item, where is this then, name, right? And so we've selected and given it to that variable, right? So any item we pass it, we've given it to this particular variable. And what we're going to do is we're going to say element dot class list, right? Dot toggle, right? Active. So now this is a very simple JavaScript code, right? It's simple to interpret. So we are creating a function, right? And this is the function name. The name of the function is called toggle items, right? And the toggle items needs a parameter to function. It needs an input, right? So we are going to give it an input. Where we're going to give it from, that one there, it doesn't care. But then we're going to give it an input, and that input will be known as item name, right? So when it gets that input, it will come here and start working. What it will do is I'm creating a variable, right? The variable is called element, and I'm setting the element to document.query selector the item name. So I'm querying how do we call it, the CSS, the selector for that particular element that we selected, right? So I'm assigning it to an element, right? Great. So then what I'm doing here is I'm saying elements.classlist.toggle active. So the class of that particular element, this is what we call class. So these are the classes. Search is a class, icon is a class, everything here is a class, right? So I'm saying that class.toggle active. I can do add active, right? So what I'm saying here is add active to the class. So that from if you add active to a particular class, here will become something like menu item dot active, right? So if active is added, it will become like this. But then I don't want to add, I just want to toggle, right? Toggle means if I do it again, remove it. If I add it again, if I click it again, add it. If I click it again, remove it, right? So that's what we're going to do, a simple JavaScript program. And let's call that script in our HTML. So you go to the bottom of your HTML, last body tag, and you just do script, right? And you just do script, and you go with the SRs, you give it the source, and the source is JavaScript, right? Slash script.js, right? So that's where we wrote our file, so that's where we're going to link it to, right? So then we've linked it in our HTML, so it's going to work anytime we use it, right? So now we have to do a few other things, right? So now let's see. We go back to our CSS, right? And we are going to do, we have from here we have site navigation, right? This is going to be the active state. We have site navigation menu. We're going to add active to it too. This means this styling is going to work only if site navigation is active, right? And site navigation menu. So I think we are done here. I think it's left with the search. So search active. So now we have the active for search. We have the active for site navigation menu, and we have the active for site navigation itself, right? So now when we look at the HTML, we see that it shouldn't be there. It actually shouldn't be there. Okay. Now this is missing. Let me fix it. The reason it is showing there is since it doesn't exist, this styling doesn't exist at all. Since it's not active, it's going to go with the default settings, right, on its own, however it wants, right? So then we have to take care of that. We have to start site navigation itself. So we can just let's just do it this way. You just copy this and paste it below, right? So now we have two site navigations active. So now we're going to take away the active of this one, right? So this is going to be site navigation, just site navigation, right? And I'm going to take away a few parameters. I'm going to make the height 0 pixels, the width 0 pixels, background this cool, position blah blah blah, everything is cool. I'm going to give it a transition of, let's say, a 0.4 seconds ease, right? I'll come back and clean this code later, but then let's see. Okay, we can see that the site navigation is no longer there, right? Because it is not active, right? It is not active. So let's go do same for the others. So for site navigation menu 2, I'm just going to copy the same thing, right? Paste it under it, the same thing, right? No changes. I'm going to clean the active of the first one, and I'm going to set height to 0 pixels, and yeah, height to 0 pixels, and let me just give an overflow of heading, right? And we should be done here. Okay, now last one is the search, right? So search.active, copy, paste the same thing under it, clean the active, give it a width of 0 width of, let's say 0, and when it's active you want a width of the same as the, so let me just copy this and paste it here. That's when it's active, right? So great. So I'm seeing a red in our code, so this particular I didn't take away the dot. Now let's see how our code looks. So now we see that everything is okay now, right? No anything around. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give this particular button the property. When it is clicked, when this button is clicked, all the other elements will be given the state of active, and we know that when it's given the state of active, all the initial styling we give it will come and work, right? So that's the whole logic behind this thing. So we just go to HTML and write a little bit more JavaScript, or should I even put it that way? So where is the button? Where is the button? Where is the button? So here's the button, right? Here's this button. Sorry, this button, right? So I'm going to add an on click. So on click, call this particular function toggle items, right? So that's the name we give the function, toggle items, right? So call this particular function, right? Pass it the following attribute. Pass it dot first of all, we're going to pass it side. What's the name again? Side. First one is side navigation, right? So pass it side navigation. So when you pass it, it will process it and add active to the class name, right? So it is even supposed to be this way, the side navigation. And I'm going to add toggle items. What's the search, right? Also toggle search too. And last but not the least, side navigation menu, right? If my memory serves me right. Okay, so we're going to pass these 3 items to the function, right? When we call it, so the side navigation menu, right? So now we are passing these 3 things. When on click of this button, all these will be passed to the JavaScript function, and we'll work on it and add active to the class name, right? So let's check our function. Okay, what name did I give it? So now we see that here is toggle items, but then here I give it toggle item, right? So I'm just going to change these to items, then items, then items, right? Okay, great. So now let's see if our JavaScript will work, right? So I'll just go back to the Firefox browser and I'll click on the button. Okay, great. So when I click on the button, we can see that the pop-ups, it comes, right? It comes. Let me see. But when I click on it, it doesn't go, right? I'm not sure the reason, but then I think it will be because the element is coming over. So I just have to give it a higher z index, right? So I'll just go back here, search for the button. Where is the button? Yeah, here's the button. I'm going to give it a z index of let's try 400. Now let me see. Okay, so now when we click it, it goes. When we click it, it comes, right? I think everything is cool now. You can modify it any way you want to create any animation. You can modify it and it will come from the top this way. You can just modify it any way you want, right? Okay. So now one now. So we have actually successfully added this particular navigation, and you can see if you move anywhere, it is still at the same place, right? Okay, cool. So thank you guys very much. Thank you very much. In the last video, we are going to I know I say we're going to end everything every time, but then we're going to change the font. We're going to add all these icons, and the icon that's supposed to be here, every icon we are going to add them, right? And we're going to add the icons that's supposed to be in these boxes. We're going to add them in the last video, and we're going to change the font and everything to make everything look better and more refined, more like this one, right? We're going to make everything look like this one, right? Okay, so now I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much.